Good morning, 5th grade. I'm going to show you guys how to paint the color wheel portion of your dragon eye. So this is pretty straightforward. You guys are great painters. You demonstrated that with watercolor. So I think you're going to have a really good concept of how to do this. It's going to be pretty small. I mean, look at the size of my hand compared to the circle. That's much smaller, and that will probably be the biggest challenge. Take your circle stencil and center it up the best you can in that square. That will be kind of important here in a moment. And then just trace it. Okay, so you've got your circle. So there's your wheel. The wheel is divided into how many different colors? 12, that's right. So I've got to get 12 sections out of this so it looks like a pie, like on your pre-test. So one way to start that out is to fold this in half. Now you can see that that's why it's important that you center your circle inside of the square so that when you fold, and you might even want to fold this way so you can see your circle, get that center fold, open it, and that's about the center. So now I'm going to take my ruler and darken that line so I can see it. Okay, there's 2. Now, I really don't need to fold the other direction. I think I can just eyeball this. Okay. Excuse me. Now, this is where it gets just a little bit tricky. I need to divide each one of these quarters into thirds. So here's what I mean by that. Just look at this one section. Look at this outside curve. Mark that 2 times. 1, 2. So I'm trying to break this evenly into 3 sections. That's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm going to line that up to the center, which is kind of like your vanishing point in a way, and hook it to that mark, and then do it here. So now I have 3 about equal sections. Okay, so there are my 12 sections. So I'm able to start painting now. It's as simple as that. Where you start painting is up to you. However, I would take a lot of consideration about how we started in on the pretest that we did. I had you start with a primary. Primaries make all other colors. So really it just makes sense that you start there. I gave you some pretty thin brushes. I like to start with red, simply because it's the first color of the rainbow. Where to start? I'm just going to start at the top somewhere. Now this is very small. You're going to have to be delicate. This does not require much paint at all. You can see I'm just taking my paint and just moving it down. I dipped 1 time. You don't want this to be bumpy and nasty. Okay, so there's my red. So where you go from here kind of depends on you. It might be a little confusing if you try to jump around and do all the primaries. Now what you could do, and I would recommend this, is label. And just kind of label to the outside, which is why I haven't had you cut this out yet. So what would come after red? If I'm going this way, I could do red, orange, orange, yellow, orange. Help me out here. Yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red, violet. Now I know exactly where everything needs to go, and I don't have to think about it while I'm painting. Now, some of the things that we discussed when we painted using watercolor was which color to blend first. So if I'm going to do red orange, let's say I want to do that next. Which do I use first, the red or the orange? Yeah, I would use the orange because it's lighter. So we really don't have to worry about mixing the paint outside of our wheel. I'm just going to paint the orange on. It's a little thick. My paint's getting kind of dry, I think. Let me know if you need some different paint. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, and I'm not really going to rinse it with water. I'm just going to wipe it on my paper towel and get the tiniest amount of red. I think that's probably too much. I'm going to blot that off. You can always add more. You can't take it away. And then I'm just going to go on top of that. You got to work kind of quickly because you don't want your paint to dry. But there's my red-orange. You may be thinking, well, how do I know if that's the right red-orange? Well, you know what? If it looks red and it looks orange, then it's right. Now I'm going to rinse my brush, and I'm going to put the orange right next to it real quick like, just to see if there is a difference. The difference will be subtle. It's not going to stand out a whole lot. But I can definitely tell, and I hope you can too through the quality of the camera here, that this is, let me get you closer, red, red-orange, and orange. I think you can tell that. So keep going. Now, when you're using yellow, remember that that's super, super light. Let me skip down here to yellow-green. And I would want the teeniest, tiniest amount of green for that. This green is super dry, but it works. Okay. Yellow is the lightest, so you have to be the most careful when you're using yellow. So there you go. That's a good start. Go ahead and give this a shot. I would label first around the outside so you know where you want to put your colors to make sure they are in the correct order. I will leave the color wheel up so that you have a cheat sheet. All right, let's get going.